I received a message from a good friend of mine of pretty much turned out to be one of the deals of a lifetime, so I had to jump on it. So first thing this morning, I ran into Anchorage, borrowed his trailer, and managed to pick up 18 IBC totes that used to hold paint. So for most of my purposes, the containers themselves are practically useless. However, I want the cages. The cages are phenomenal for firewood handling. And since we're completely off-grid, going to be primarily wood heated, that just solved a big problem of mine that I've been trying to find a solution to for probably the last 2 or 3 years. Ultimately, I'll end up with quite a few more of them. 60 should give me roughly 20 cord of wood, give or take some, that I can have drying for the seasons. Oh, look at this. We had a visitor this morning. Nice set of fresh moose tracks coming out of the forest over there. Well, anyway, as you can tell, it's really easy to get distracted in the forest here. But as I said, I'll be able to have roughly 20 cords of wood drying, which should be a bit more than twice as much as I'll need for a full year. Hopefully quite a bit more than twice as much. And I'll have nice dry firewood, keep the chimney clean, and have no problems. Originally I was going to leave the trailer up at the top of the road and then run them in a couple at a time in the back of the truck because the road's got some soft spots in it. But this morning it was a little better than it was yesterday and the day before getting out, so I figured I'd go ahead and run the trailer in empty, or run the trailer in, and then it'll be empty going up, and it's long enough that on my way out the truck tires will be on solid ground so I can pull hard, and if I have to, forelow it. And then when I get to the top of the hill, I'll borrow a hose from a friend of mine's and wash off the trailer and return it to my friend to let me borrow it. But all we can do now is start getting it unloaded. So let's go fire up the Bobcat and put the forks on and get that started. There's certainly a lot of ways to handle the totes for firewood. They're pretty common. But I have a plan to make it to where the outfeed table of my splitter, I'll show that later on as well, probably in this video, will be able to just dump straight in. And if I can make that happen, then I can just use this to pick up the totes and move things around, and I'm not lifting anything up more than I absolutely have to. I should probably unstrap these before I go too much farther. So let's get that done. Can't remember everything. Made the run into Anchorage this morning after hearing about the deal for these. So sometimes when opportunities arise, you have to jump on them. And like I said before, I've been wanting to get my hands on a lot of these totes for quite some time, so I can start drying wood. So either when we're able to be up here in the winter for vacations, holidays, work trips, whatever, I have good dry wood and plenty of it once the building's insulated. And then, being in totes like this, I can just move them into the shop 1 or 2 at a time as needed, and take the old ones out, the empty ones out, and refill them come summer. Stick them out in the sun and let them start curing again, and Most of our wood on this property is white spruce, which dries pretty fast. It's a lot longer. Alright, so straps are off. Let's get these down and figure out where to put them. Once I figure out where to put them, I'll save you from a bunch of boredom, and I'll toss this on time lapse. And then once they're off, then we'll start having fun with them. Ow. Oh, a set of forks on a skid steer just almost makes chores too easy. Whoops! I do not have bucket positioning for auto leveling, and I am definitely not what you would call an operator. I managed to operate somewhat, but I've only had this skid steer for a year or two and really don't run it much. I guess technically it's a compact track loader, but I'm still going to call it a skid steer. It got the name skid mark because it tends to leave skid marks everywhere, and on occasion it absolutely scares the heck out of me when I do something wrong and it starts bucking things around. So I figured skid mark was an appropriate name. Alright, let's switch this back over to... Hey, let go. Let go! Yeah, again, lack of mad skills. Either that or skills that make me mad. Let's throw this on time lapse and save you from the misery. Down. All good. Well, all we can do is start taking it apart. Of course, it has Torx screws. I don't have large Torx bits with me, but since you can get away with it, sometimes you can pretend that a Torx is a fancy Allen. So if I'm careful, I should be able to get these bolts out. So we'll pop these top bars out. Couple more. Well, I guess sometimes you get lucky. Oops. Can't leave sharp things around because I have way too many tires. In theory, should be able to just lift that tote right up and out. And the easiest way to do it is to untangle your mess of strap, because anytime I use a strap, I am too lazy to roll it up and put it away correctly because I'm in a hurry. So that's on me. But if you take a crossbar and Lash it in the center. Basically make a T. I don't trust that. There, trust that better. So put it down inside. And then when you pull up, you have something solid to lift from. And since I have a Bobcat, that's what I'm going to use to lift it because it seems like the thing to do. Okay. I'd say we don't want to use this tote for anything important, so it's going to be scrap plastic. Well, that worked fairly well. So I just have to do that 17 more times when I figure out how I'm doing my cages. And then eventually after that, 42 more times. But first time's always a slow one. I won't bother taking you guys through the adventure of making 60 of these, but I'll bring you along on the adventure for figuring out how to make the first one. All the rest will be the same or slight variations. So this is fine where it is. Let's move the Bobcat and shut it down. It's too loud. Oh. Yep, a side entry would be wonderful. Expensive, but wonderful. Actually, to do this right, I should bring the splitter out. So I'll make myself the room. And I go get it. I I changed my mind. Easier to grab a tape measure and measure the splitter. So according to what I see, the deck will be about 32 inches off the ground. So if I'm 28 to 30, then we should be good. So if I keep this bar and these corners, these sides, these uprights around the corners, it should be fine. And then the splitter deck can come right to the edge or just in front so dirt can fall off before it. Firewood falls inside as it's pushing through. And then it's easy to unload. So let's see how easy this cuts. Might be loud. All right, I think I want a different blade. So there's a million different ways people do these. And they're all pretty nice actually. But I think for what I'm actually wanting, since I'm not wanting to sell, I think this will work out the best. Eventually I'll either turn that 40-foot container behind us into a solar kiln for drying firewood, or pick up another one, but I want to make a solar kiln. So in theory I can get 12 to 15, maybe more cords of wood into one. Yep, I was right, that's loud. There, now we have baby gates. Anybody need a baby gate? Well, I guess there's only one thing to do left now. And let's go get the splitter, set it up, and then find some wood to run through it. There's got to be some around here somewhere. Okay, let's get this thing outside. Oh, you know it's time for concrete when you have to use four-wheel drive inside of your shop building. So this is the Eastonmade Ultra. I actually received it in November. Did a little bit of splitting with it. It was like a 3-day trip, 4-day trip. It was a lot of fun. Split through frozen birch like nothing. And that's the hardest, densest wood we have here. It actually has a receiver at the other end, but it's out of balance enough for the four-wheeler that it pretty much tries to lift the four-wheeler off the back of the ground. I'll play with that later. But I will be able to take it out in the south lawn area that we cut and park it out there and just fill a tote, move the tote with a skid steer, move it to the side, and just process everything out there so that I'm not making a big mess over here. And just let them sit out there to age. Okay, let's get this out of the road. Alright. So if we drag the cage over there, we can pull that tongue off. And then go find some wood. Because while I'm actually supposed to be doing other chores, sometimes it's just a lot more fun to play with new toys. So we'll set this on the truck for now. Because it's a flat place I don't have to bend over for. We'll drag our thing up and see if it's going to work. I really think it will. Well, I probably should have measured the width, but that's okay. Pretty close enough. Boy, it's just almost spot on. Yeah. I think that's going to work great. What do you think? I can lower the front down with the jack just fine. It's up because it's taking it off the tongue. It's pretty much the exact same width of the opening. So I think we need to find some wood to run through this thing. I think I want to bring it just right down to the, get this as level as we can, maybe even point it downhill. Doesn't have to stick inside. Leave a little gap. Yeah, I think that'll work great. There's only one way to find out. I guess the first thing to do is remember how to start it. That's always important. What do you think? Is it going to need the choke? Sure, why not? Maybe you didn't. Whoops. We'll give it a little bit to warm up. But yeah, if I can either build myself a table for the forks on the backhoe, like a big log bucket, I can park it there full of rounds, feed the logs through straight into the bins, use the forks on the skid steer to move the totes out of the road, and then when the bucket's empty, just go refill it. It should work out fairly well because there's 2.5 acres of trees out there to get cut. Oh, it sounds like the splitter might be running out of fuel. So we're all fueled up. Let's try this again. In theory, I wish I had bigger pieces. So it should go straight into the cage as it shoves through. Oh, pretty close. I can live with that. I'm going to try a small dinky one. I don't care about stacking neatly in there. Make up for that with just having more totes later. I do have the single way splitter head as well. That might actually make this easier for the smaller stuff. Once there's some weight in here, it'll probably be less likely to get kicked around. But this is great. It's not landing on the ground. I don't have to unload my truck. This actually will raise up high enough to feed into the bed of a pickup, or at least my truck. I have it throttled down right now, so it's not going full speed, just to make it a little quieter, and not really because I don't need the power. I'm guessing that this will work a bit better with the bigger logs. And I may need to put some kickers on the corners of the table to help guide it in so it doesn't snag as much, but I think for what I need, this will work great. It's cheap, it's fast, it's easy. I don't mind modifying things to make it work better if I have to. The stock is just a starting point anyway. Well, this is definitely going to make it a nicer, faster, easier way to process firewood, move it around, not have to constantly be moving it by hand, stacking it, bending over. All I have to do is set the totes out to dry, and when they're seasoned enough, grab one or two and bring it in and put it next to the boiler. Just make everything more pleasant. Make it to where my wife and kids can keep the place running if I'm not around for some reason. Thanks again for watching. I'm Ryan, you're watching Vowell Adventures. If you enjoyed it, subscribe, like, and share. I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.